The Gospel according to Mark is the second book in the New Testament. Its author, Mark, was originally known as John Mark. He was an associate of the Apostle Paul, and he was Peter's disciple. Mark wrote down accurately what he could remember of Peter's words. Hello, I'm Kathy Bartow. Mark saw the resurrected Jesus and presents him as a servant and as a healer. He tells us that Jesus came not to be served, but to serve. In Mark chapter 10, verse 45, "For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." Now, Jesus performed many miracles. The miracles were to show us how the power of God can be used in and through human lives. Jesus showed us that he had the power over disease. In Mark chapter 1, verse 14 to chapter 8, verse 26, you can read many accounts of Jesus' healing those who were sick or infirmed or who had evil spirits. Listen as I read Mark chapter 1, verses 32 to 34. "That evening at sundown, they brought to him all who were sick or oppressed by demons, and the whole city was gathered together at the door. And he healed many who were sick with various diseases and cast out many demons. And he would not permit the demons to speak because they knew." Jesus also demonstrated that he had the power over nature as he walked on water. In Mark chapter 6, verses 45 to 51, we read that, "Then Jesus told his followers to get into the boat and go to Bethsaida on the other side of the lake. Jesus said that he would come later. He stayed there to tell the people they could go home. After sending them away, he went into the hills to pray." That night the boat was in the middle of the lake and Jesus was alone on the land. He saw the followers working hard to row the boat because the wind was blowing against them. At some time between 3 and 6 o'clock in the morning, Jesus came to them walking on the water. He continued walking until he was almost past the boat. But when his followers saw him walking on the water, they thought he was a ghost and cried out. They all saw him and were terrified. But Jesus spoke to them and said, "Have courage, it is I. Do not be afraid." Then he got into the boat with them and the wind became calm. The followers were greatly amazed. In the Gospel of Mark, we hear about the first missionary trip of Paul, Barnabas, and Mark. Yes, Mark joined these two men. However, when things got tough, Mark deserted the work. When Mark was ready to come back, Paul refused to take Mark with him. This caused a split between Paul and Barnabas. As a result, Paul and Barnabas split up into Paul and Silas and Barnabas and Mark. Listen to Acts chapter 15, verses 36 to 40. "And after some days, Paul said to Barnabas, 'Let us return and visit the brothers in every city where we proclaim the word of the Lord and see how they are.' Now Barnabas wanted to take with them John, called Mark. But Paul thought best not to take with them one who had withdrawn from them in Pamphylia and had not gone with them to the work. And there arose a sharp disagreement, so that they separated from each other. Barnabas took Mark with him and sailed away to Cyprus. But Paul chose Silas and departed, having been commended by the brothers to the grace of the Lord." Now, by the grace of God, one missionary trip turned into 2 missionary trips. Mark tells us that as a suffering servant, Jesus died so that mankind could have eternal life. Mark showed us that Jesus was a man who came to serve us as a means of showing us how to live our lives in servitude to one another and in service to God. Till next time, peace be with you.